Hey everyone, it's time for the last chapter of Rubyfruit Jungle. Wow, I can't believe we made it. It's taken a long time, and I'm so glad that you guys have paid attention and listened to all these chapters that I've read for you. I really appreciate the people who leave comments because this is supposed to be a discussion. I want to hear what everybody thinks about the book. Whether you're a subscriber and listen to everything or just happen to find one video, I want to hear what you have to say. So I thank everyone for listening and commenting and favoriting and subscribing. And also thank you for your extraordinary patience. I know sometimes I haven't uploaded as much as other times. Sometimes there's reasons, like when I was in London for a few weeks. And sometimes I just have technology issues and life gets in the way. I had a hurricane the other day. Yeah, well, without further ado, here's chapter 18. Professor Walgren's scrotum shriveled when I walked back in with the equipment. He raved on about how irresponsible I was to go off with all that hardware when other people needed to use it. He threatened to revoke my scholarships, but had to back off from that idea since it was my last semester, and the semester was nearly over. He sputtered, fumed, blew his nose, and eventually shut up. Project night was a big event. All the other students had their chicks with them, vying for who was best dressed in the downwardly mobile category. They introduced their dates as "my chick" or "my old lady." I came by myself. It freaked them out that I didn't swish in with some bearded number sporting a tie-dyed t-shirt. And the projects began. The one that drew the most applause was a gang rape on an imaginary Martian landscape with half the cast dressed as Martians, the other half as humans. All the men mumbled about what a profound racial statement it was. The chicks gasped. My film was last on the list, and by the time we got to it, some of the audience had already left. There was Carrie speeding away in her rocking chair, looking straight at the camera and being herself. No quick cuts to steals from Ken Thanger, no tinfoil balls dropping out of the sky to represent nuclear hail. Just Carrie talking about her life, the world today, and the price of meat. I had edited it as best as I could. It fluttered here and there, but it was 20 minutes of her life. Her life as she saw it and relived it for the camera. The last thing she said in the film was, "I'm gonna turn this house into a big gingerbread cake with icing on the corners. Then when those goddamn bill collectors come after me, I just tell 'em to break off a piece of the house and leave me alone. In time, they eat the whole house." She chuckled. "Then I'll be sitting out in the sunshine that the good Lord made. I'll be out in the lilies of the field that's richer than all King Solomon's gold. That ain't a bad way to die when you're as old as I am." She laughed a strong, certain laugh, and as that laugh died, so did the light. No one clapped. No one made a sound. I began rewinding the film, and they filed out by the projection table. I looked at these cohorts of mine through the last years, and not one of them could look me in the face. They walked out of the room silently, and the last one to go was Professor Walgren. He stopped at the door, turned to say something, thought better of it. His eyes on the floor, he slowly shut the door so that it didn't make a sound. I graduated summa cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. I didn't go to the ceremony. They sent me my diploma in the mail. I didn't go back to the department to lord it over the undergraduates. After my showing, I took my cans of film, plus the Araflex as reparations, and tried to get a job. MGM asked me to start as a secretary. Warner Brothers 7 Arts was interested in my publishing skills and offered me $150 a week to start if I'd work grinding out PR for their latest releases. My technical skills were very impressive to them. They were sure it would help when I wrote press copy for the latest Warren Beatty flick. The underground filmmakers were more direct. One famous man asked me if I'd consider dressing as a hermaphrodite for his next film. He adored my face and thought I'd be too divine as the girl boy in his next naked takeoff of Shakespeare. Said he'd make me a star. Young and Rubicam told me that I'd have to start as a secretary, but in a few years I'd get to shoot commercials. Wells, Rich, Green told me the same thing, but they offered me more money and a better office. The guy who made The Martian Rape went right into CBS as an assistant director for a children's program. CBS was full up, they told me. No, I wasn't surprised, but it still brought me down. I kept hoping against hope that I'd be the bright exception, the talented token that smashed sex and class barriers, Hurrah for her. After all, I was the best in my class. Didn't that count for something? I spent those bitter days, after squandering my lunch hour on job interviews, sitting in the office while Stella came in with story after story of Mr. Cohen's prostate problems, bitter days while I edited the compendium of crafts and thought I'd fracture along with the 15 easy steps to facet glass. My bitterness was reflected in the news, full of stories about people my own age raging down the streets in protest. But somehow I knew my rage wasn't their rage, and they'd have run me out of their movement for being a lesbian anyway. I read somewhere, too, that women's groups were starting, but they'd trash me just the same. What the hell? I wished I could be that frog back at Epps' old pond. I wished I could get up in the morning and look at the day the way I used to when I was a child. I wished I could walk down the streets and not hear those constant, abrasive sounds from the mouths of the opposite sex. Damn. I wish the world would let me be myself. But I knew better on all counts. I wish I could make my films. That wish I can work for. One way or another, I'll make those movies, and I don't feel like having to fight until I'm 50. But if it does take that long, then watch out, world, because I'm going to be the hottest 50-year-old this side of the Mississippi. That was it, guys. Wow. Well, let's have a little discussion about this book in its entirety. I was a little surprised that Stella was still in the picture, talking about Mr. Cohen at the end. But I really kind of wish that Molly would have found love. What do you guys think about that? I don't think Stella is love. Does Molly even want love? I think Molly just wants to be herself and do the things she wants to do, like make movies, and she's had to struggle so much with her family first, and then the girl at college in Florida and school in New York trying to find a home in New York, and wow. But this girl has always been true to herself throughout the entire story, and she's never taken bullshit from anyone, which is why I really admire the character of Molly. I wish that I could be a little like her, a little brave and willing to move to a completely different city and actually not changing myself for other people. And that sounds so cliche, but there's so many people out there who will do things that don't make them happy, like, I don't know, working at a clothing store when you really don't like it, working for a boss that bullies you, or people that just say mean things to you and not doing anything about it at your job. Like, if something's bothering you, you have to fix it. If you're not happy with their situation or where you're living, you really should go somewhere else. Life is too short to waste time being miserable. I think I've learned that this year. And that's something I would like to share with you guys. Something I've learned myself, something I've learned by reading Rubyfruit Jungle to you guys the last couple months. I thank you guys so much for listening to all the chapters and giving me your comments, both good and bad. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you for listening to me on Kyle's channel also. I'll link to that in the description. And pretty soon I'm hoping to start reading a book called Sexing the Cherry by Jeanette Winterson. It's a little something I picked up at a rare and used shop when I was in London, and it looks so cool, and I think if you guys like Rubyfruit Jungle and all the books I read with Kyle, you'll definitely like this. So hopefully technology and the weather and time will be on my side and I could get that up this week maybe. We'll see. Thank you so much, guys. Please tell me what you thought about this chapter, this book, everything. Let's keep the discussion rolling. Thank you.